Okay, people, how about a little Spartan action from last night? Wasn't that a ball game? Wasn't that a little basketball tilt? Wasn't that a little something? Jalen Lucas there at the end? Before we go any further, on the Parker and the Man page at yournews.com, a little webcam action, Mark Wilson with you. Want to give a shout out to my guy, Bruno at Boodles. Let me put up the little sign, little card I made up there for him. There you go. Favorite restaurant in town. I'm telling you right now, we had another great meal out there. There's your phone number for a great dining experience right there, 248-399-5960. And yes, Bruno rocks. Bruno Ferguson and his fine staff at Boodles in Madison Heights. If you haven't been there, right there at the corner of 11 Mile and Stevenson. If you still haven't gone after 20-some-odd years, I have been going there the entire time. The place is unbelievable. It gets better every time. How is that even possible? Best Caesar salad in the business. They'll do it right at your table. Had the chicken marsala. I told the guy, I've had the chicken marsala and the steak Diana every time I've been. I have never tried a third menu item, and they're all unbelievable because I can't get past those two. So there you go again. I'll show it to you one more time, and at the end as well, if you missed it. Boodles, Madison Heights, my recommendation for you. All right, let's get to the Spartans. Sparty in Michigan. I got to give it up to the Wolverines, just a little bit. I mean, that was a nice effort by John Beeline and the crew. Manny Harris, of course, was back after the suspension, the one gamer. Between him and Petey Sims, they did a nice job in keeping care of the basketball. My goodness, they had 4 turnovers. There were 2 Spartans alone that had 4. MSU had 18 turnovers. Michigan had just the 4, which blew my mind. And yet the Spartans come out with the 1-point victory when Jalen Lucas hit the shot. Raymar Morgan had a big basket. Michigan went a couple of minutes without scoring at the end. In fact, I think it was the last 3 minutes that they didn't score a basket at the end of the game. They tried for dear life at the end there. Petey Sims got the touch lob. He tried to put it in there with a second and a half left, and just couldn't go. Rattled off a couple of rims, and that was the end of the ball game. And Tom Izzo wasn't exactly jumping up and down. He knew he escaped Ann Arbor, escaped Chrysler with a much stolen victory. Could have gone either way, and as John Beeline said at the end, it's an oldest line, but it was true. It's a shame anybody had to lose. But since I'm wearing a hat, that's what, 17 out of 20 now? For the Spartans, 17 out of 20. They've only lost 3 times in the last 20 games. So John Beeline is getting a little bit closer. He's closing the gap, but MSU keeps winning these games. Beeline now 0-3 against Izzo. And, Tom, and Raymar and Kalen and the rest of the guys, Darrell Summers and Delvin Rowe and Chris Allen and Corey Lucius didn't even score. Those 2 guys combined 47 minutes. They had some problems there. They had some issues in terms of getting the basketball in the net. But let me tell you this. Spartans outshot Michigan, and if Michigan had shot just a wee bit better, they would have won the ball game last night. So there you go. Check it all out. That's the column today about the great game that was. It's a classic. It was a classic. I mean, as games go 57-56, that's a classic in my book. And the Spartans now 8-0 for the first time in school history in the Big Ten. Never been 8-0 before in the history of the school. First time. In 60-some-odd years of Big Ten basketball at Michigan State, first time at 8-0. First 8 of the campaign. Also 18-3 and number 5 in the country, too, and that might rise, too, because you can check this out as well, my tweets and feeds. Kentucky lost to South Carolina, so anytime John Calipari can lose, good to see it. Thank you, Gamecocks. Appreciate that. Also at the game last night, Jimmy and Jalen. Jalen Rose and Jimmy King sat next to each other. You couldn't miss them. They both had red on. Jimmy had a red sweater, and Jalen had a bright red jacket going, bright red sport coat, cheering on their Wolverines, but as nice as that was to see, because the Fab Five's been dissed over the course of time, and I covered that team way back when. They were like rock stars, Chris and Jalen and Juwan and Jimmy and Ray. Chris Webber, persona non grata. I probably can never go back. I don't know, he may someday. You don't see Ray a lot, but you see Jimmy and Jalen, and Juwan is basically still playing somewhere, so he doesn't. But good to see Jalen Rose and Jimmy King at the game last night. I guess my one-day campaign to get Jim Thome as a Detroit Tiger, gone, done. Who else gets him but the Minnesota Twins? 1-year deal, $1.5 million. Tigers could have had Jim Thome, Hall of Fame guy, left-handed stick. At Comerica would have been great. Instead, he goes to the new ballpark in Minnesota. He'll hit homers for the Twins. You know what Ron Gardenhire said? Because Ozzie Guillen didn't want him with the White Sox and said, hey, I'm going to give it. Gardenhire said, we'll give him at bats. You darn right we'll give it Hall of Fame, left-handed stick at bats. He'll play a little first base, too. That's not an issue. Gardenhire always does that. And that's why Jim Thome's off to Minnesota, people. Wouldn't it be something if Jim Thome hits a homer and beats the Tigers in the last day and the Tigers, don't go to the playoffs because of Jim Thome when they could have had him? Also, the Red Wings, people. I'm telling you, I've never seen them blow games like they blew last night. 4-2 lead with a minute and a half to play, and the Phoenix Coyotes scored twice, and then Shane Doan in the overtime beats Jimmy Howard, and that was that. 5-4 Phoenix wins. It'd be 90 seconds to victory at Joe Louis in front of 19,000, and it was Phoenix that took the victory. That's one of those games where you start to wonder if the Wings aren't hurting somehow and really struggling right before the Olympic break. A couple other things. Greg Oden, I've heard about this, the 7-foot center of the Portland Trailblazers. There's nude pictures of him on the internet. Pictures he took, sent to his former girlfriend, and they're sitting there. So, Greg Oden, I don't know if I wanted to see you naked, my man, but I guess everybody just loves being nude. That's what Venus Williams with the underwear thing at the Australian Open. Yeah, okay, Greg Oden. Ladies, it's up to you. And again, once more, I just want to give a little shout out to Boodles. I don't know, this has nothing to do with the last story. But Boodles in Madison Heights, terrific place. I've said it before, I'll look you straight in the eye and tell you it's the best in town. And there's your phone number for a great meal again. And Bruno, you rock. So check them out when you get a chance. Valentine's Day is coming up, guys. Perfect place to take them right there. Boodles, 11 Mile and Stevenson in Madison Heights. Check it all out. It's on the Parker and the Man page at yournews.com. Log on early, log off often.